Hi, I'm Tom from Take Time to Travel. Well, 2020 has been a really crazy year, and it was no exception for me. I made some pretty drastic life changes. In the summer of 2020, I made the decision I was going to retire, then sell everything I own, except for a couple of suitcases of my clothes, move from my apartment in Toronto to an Airbnb in Montreal for a while, then try and escape the Canadian winters by going to Vietnam. On top of all that, I decided I would record my journey along the way and post it here on YouTube. If you want more details on why I decided to sell everything and move away to live a more nomadic and minimalist lifestyle, I made a video on it and I'll put a link in the description down below. Now, it's been about 6 months since I made that video about my drastic life-changing decision to travel full-time during the pandemic, so I thought it was time to give you an update. Today I'm going to go over what it was like traveling and moving during COVID and whether it was a good decision for me to live a more nomadic and minimalist lifestyle. So let's dive right into it. It wasn't easy getting rid of everything from my Toronto apartment. I offered my stuff for sale on Kijiji and I had to put up with all the people lowballing me and the no-shows. But eventually I got it done. I also gave away a lot of clothing to local charities and gave my kids some stuff. The hardest part was selling the car. After I'd gotten rid of everything, I made my way to Montreal on Via Rail, where I rented a cozy little Airbnb in the Low Plateau neighborhood and moved there for September and October of 2020. In September in Montreal, the weather was warm and most things were open, so I was able to explore the trendy Low Plateau neighborhood as well as check out some of Montreal's best patios. I always enjoy seeing nice architecture and exploring new places, so this was an amazing time for me. The buildings in Montreal have so much character. The streets are lined with trees and art, and there's lots of young people around enjoying life. It was a nice change of pace from busy Toronto. Now, in October, most things were shut down due to COVID, except for takeout restaurants. But that didn't stop me from having a good time. Montreal is a very green city, so it was great to be able to explore some of their parks, like Parc La Fontaine, which is situated right near La Banquise and Ma Poule Mouillée, which are two of Montreal's best poutine places. So I would grab a poutine and head to the park and enjoy. It's so nice to just relax in the park with the tastiest poutine I've ever had, take in the nature, and just people watch. I also had fun hiking up Montreal and having picnics in the park behind the Montreal Chalet. As the leaves on the trees started to change color, this hike got better and better. Last but not least, the bakeries in Montreal are to die for. Their baked pastries and croissants are addicting. I frequented many bakeries and tried way too many croissants during October, but it was worth it. If any of that sounds interesting to you, I've put links to my Montreal videos in the description down below. Montreal is beautiful in the summer and fall, but it has some really hard winters. I hate the snow and cold, so I needed to get away from that. Since I wasn't able to travel out of the country this year due to the pandemic, I decided to go to the warmest place I could in Canada for the winter and ride it out. It was time for me to travel across Canada to Victoria, British Columbia for my first time ever. So early on Halloween morning, I grabbed an Uber to Montreal's Gare Centrale and took the Via Rail train from Montreal to Toronto. While I was there, I spent the night in downtown Toronto in a beautiful Tower 1 suite on the 46th floor of the One King West Hotel and Residences. Early the following morning, I checked out and took an Uber to the airport. Toronto Airport was way busier than I was expecting, but I managed to make it through the check-in process, the temperature checks, and the screening, and then I took a direct flight from Toronto to Victoria, BC without any problem. When I arrived in Victoria, I grabbed a cab from the airport to my Airbnb in downtown Victoria, where I'm currently staying and where I'll spend the rest of the winter. If you want to see a full apartment tour of my Airbnb here in Victoria, or if you want to see what it was like traveling across Canada during the pandemic, or if you want to see that beautiful hotel suite that I was upgraded to in Toronto, check the description down below for links to those videos. Now, I'd never been to Victoria before, but I'd heard good things about it. I'd heard that it has a much milder winter than Toronto or Montreal, which was the most important factor for me. I knew that it rained a lot, has plenty of natural beauty, and has a postcard perfect harbor. I'd also heard it has the second most restaurants per capita in North America, so it sounded like a great place to escape the snow. Now, like I said, I knew it was going to rain a lot before I got here, but I was surprised at how much rain that really meant. If you look at the forecast for the next week, most days, like usually 6 out of 7, there'll be rain. I've heard that this November and December have been especially wet because of La Nina, but I don't really have anything to compare it to. Despite all the rain, I've been loving it here. I've managed to get outside most days and take advantage of the time that it isn't raining. It's usually about 8 degrees Celsius, so the walks along the harbor are very peaceful and serene. I try to walk down there every day if I can. Another cool thing here is the wildlife. I've seen dozens of seals and a few otters up close in the wild in the couple of months that I've been here. Also in Beacon Hill Park, there are lots of peacocks roaming around freely. Look at them all. Today, I even saw some deer on my walk. There are also tropical plants in Victoria growing outside, like palm trees and yucca trees. With the harbor and the tropical plants, on a nice day you can easily forget that you're in Canada and think you're somewhere further south. While I've been here on Vancouver Island, the COVID case counts have been pretty low relative to other cities and provinces. As a result, restaurants and stores are still open. You just have to wear a mask inside. I understand this is a lot more lenient than a lot of other places like Toronto and Montreal, so I'm pretty lucky to be able to spend the winter here. I've taken full advantage of this while following appropriate safety measures and have visited a lot of Victoria's tourist attractions. Since arriving here, I've taken a tour of Craigdarragh Castle, explored Fisherman's Wharf and Ogden Point, checked out Victoria's street art and its trendy shopping streets. Around Christmas time, I drove around to see some of the best Christmas lights in and around Victoria, as well as the stunning Christmas light display at Butchart Gardens. People in Victoria really get into the Christmas spirit here. I also had some lovely afternoon teas at Butchart Gardens, as well as the Fairmont Empress Hotel. If any of that sounds interesting to you, I've put some links to those videos in the description down below. At the start of this video, I said I would let you know whether this was a good decision for me to sell everything and live a more nomadic and minimalist lifestyle. And to answer that question simply, yes, this has been a great decision for me. Without having a permanent home, you can't accumulate a lot of stuff because it won't fit in your suitcase. That's worked out really great for me because instead of spending money on things I don't really need, I spend that money and time on experiences to make each day enjoyable. I love being able to travel to new and interesting locations, so hopefully with the COVID vaccines being rolled out, everything will get back to normal soon and everyone will be able to travel again later this year. As things stand now, over the next few months I'm going to be staying in Victoria and hopefully exploring more of Vancouver Island. In April, I'm hoping to go to Vancouver and possibly even Whistler and Blackcomb Mountain. At the end of April, I'll be flying back to Toronto and then taking the train to Montreal to spend the summer. I'm still looking for a good deal on a furnished apartment in Montreal, so if you know of one, let me know. Now, things can change fast, as we've seen in 2020, but I'm optimistic I'll be able to spend next winter in Vietnam. One thing about this minimalist lifestyle, living out of a couple of suitcases, is you have to be flexible and ready if things change. Especially as we've seen in the past year, things seem to be constantly changing, so you just have to be able to adapt. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's update on what's happened in the last 6 months since I posted my Why I Sold Everything video. If you did like today's video, I'd really appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications on future videos. Remember, take time to travel. Catch you on the next one.